I'm late starting this, and I know I'm late starting it, so I'm not even checking comments to see people saying, where's your reviews or your previews, and you said you do them, and you didn't do them, and where are they? So, here I am this morning, and, when you don't have kids, you're used to having kids, it's real easy to just stay in bed and listen to music, and just, you don't have to hear any complaining or whining, or, it's nice. So, I had a nice morning. Nice relaxing morning. I got a 4-hour shift tonight. I work from 2 in the afternoon till 6:30 tonight, and then I will be home to watch hockey, and I might live stream tonight. So if I live stream, it'll be the later game. And let's get into the action to discuss what's going on and what will go on. Of course, Calgary right now, as I'm recording this, is down 3-1 after 1 to Philly. I don't know what's going on because I was laying in bed looking up at the ceiling. So I'll check out the game line for that. Let's see. Manning with a goal. Oh, good. Manning. Provorov and Couturier. So Elliott with 12 saves and Smith with 9 saves on 12 shots. Elliott's faced 13. Johnny Gaudreau's got a 9-game point streak. So Gaudreau is the gift that keeps on giving. In other action tonight, and confirmed goaltending matchup is Kari Lehtinen for Dallas against Cam Talbot for the Oilers. So it's interesting, and I was asked this yesterday. So I advocate using Hudobin ahead of Rask. And in Dallas, I don't advocate Lehtinen ahead of Bishop. Why not? Lehtinen's extended period as Dallas' starter really drove it home to me that he's not the guy that he's not a guy I can trust as a starter. Hudobin is a guy that I trust as the backup, who I think played really well the last half of last year and has played very well so far this year. And I really think Boston should give him more starts. At the very least 50-50 with Rask. Because Rask, whatever it is, whether it's some injury-related thing or whatever it is, he just seems off. Bishop, I think it's up here. I think a lot of it's mental. Bishop has been wildly inconsistent since he got pulled out of that game by Ken Hitchcock. I don't think he gets along with the coach. So they're completely different situations. You've got a situation in Boston where I think you have a goalie who's lost a step, who's not what he was 5 or 6 years ago. And you've got a goalie in Dallas who I think there's a mental game going on here, and the team and Bishop are losing right now. So it's a little different. I think Bishop can get it back. Rask, I don't know. I want him to. But tonight, it's Lehtinen, and I'm telling you, the Oilers are coming in angry. And the road Oilers are better than the home Oilers. And I would not be surprised if they light up Kari Lehtinen. I want to be wrong. Absolutely. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did. The winning streak of Arizona could hit 2 tonight. But in order to do that, they, with Antti Raanta, have to go into Ottawa and beat Mike Condon. Mike Condon is 1-0-2. So again, it depends how you look at it. He's lost 2 out of 3 games he's been in, or he's unbeaten in regulation in the 3 games he's been in. Isn't it wonderful? It's great. Condon's his last start in Sweden wasn't very good, but it wasn't his fault either. So while his numbers were kind of ugly coming out of that game, I wouldn't throw the blame on him for it. Although Anderson went in, didn't allow a goal after. It looks worse when you look at the score sheet, the box score, than what it really was. Raanta is looking to win another one. And Antti Ranta's a good goaltender. I mean, we all, have jokes, but that .903 save percentage and 3.26 goals against, it really honestly doesn't show how he's been playing. He's been playing well. He's behind a defense that's not great. When a team's 3-15-3, it's pretty safe to assume that any part of their game isn't great. New Jersey and Winnipeg. And it's Schneider against Hellebuck. So you've got 2 guys who are bouncing back. And it's funny because their stats are similar. Schneider's 7-3-2 with a 2.64 goals against and 924 save percentage. Hellebuck 10-1-2 with a 2.28 goals against and a 930 save percentage. Corey Schneider has 1 shutout. Hellebuck hasn't had one yet. Schneider's, I really honestly think, still one of the best goaltenders in the league. He fell out of that standing last year, but going into last season, it was quite popular to say Schneider would be one of the top 3 or 4 goaltenders in the league, and then last year, he didn't play particularly well. So it was easy for him to fall off the radar, and easy for the Devils to fall off the radar. I think that in both cases, that's changed, both for Winnipeg and Jersey. Winnipeg is looking to continue momentum, prove they belong at or near, at least near the top of the West. Jersey's trying to do the same thing in the East, so this should be a very good game. Should be a really, really good game. Florida's in LA. Luongo's unconfirmed, but he'll be the starter against Jonathan Quick, who's likely, according to dailyfaceoff.com/starting goalies. Luongo is playing very well. The fact that he has a 2.74 goals against and a 927 save percentage tells you his goals against isn't great, but he's faced a ton of shots. So that's fine. Those two things balance each other out. Quick, his goals against has dropped from what it was. He's down to 2.31 now. And what I mean by dropped was he was at a 1.5 and now he's at a 2.3. So I'm talking about like in terms of him being top 5 in the league. 930 save percentage and 2 shutouts. Luongo has 1. Quick's still one of the best goalies in the league, and Luongo's, in my mind, one of the better goalies I've seen in my lifetime. And I say better, I don't mean best, but he is definitely not as bad as some people say he is. And we'll see what happens when he retires. And oh yeah, Florida, trying to gain respect. LA, trying to stop a slide. So we'll see what happens. The Islanders are in Tampa. Thomas Greiss is starting against Vasilevsky. So the goaltending carousel in New Jersey, a carousel of 2, has now landed on Greiss again. Of the 2 goalies, I think Greiss is probably the better one. But it really depends on the night. Neither of them have great stats, but it's a matter of going with the guy who's going to win you the game that night. And against the Lightning, they should be fired up. The Islanders should definitely be very fired up tonight. That being said, I would be shocked if Tampa loses, because that's kind of the world we live in now. We've gone from one where Tampa missed the playoffs, and everybody said, when I made a prediction Tampa would win the Cup, that I was crazy, and I understand it. Makes total sense. But just the idea of adding Stamkos to that lineup, I thought, man, they're going to be deadly. So we'll see if they keep it up. It's still early in the season, but we're not as early now as we were, and they're still number 1 on power rankings. Like I said last week, I don't know how to make them better than number 1. Because they were number 1, but number 2, you could make an argument maybe was better than them a few weeks ago. Now you can't. You just can't. Tampa's the best team in the league at almost every position. I mean, when you have a team that's scoring as many goals as they are, with the defense as solid as theirs, and then you look at their goaltender with a 932 save percentage and 2.24 goals against, that's simply intimidating. There's no part of the Lightning that's weak. And we'll see if the Islanders can take care of that. In Buffalo, the Carolina, we might be good Hurricanes. Against the Buffalo, we thought we should be better than this Sabres. Buffalo is going with probably Leonard in net against Scott Darling, who's been confirmed. Darling has been playing very well lately, but it's Carolina, so there's no way to predict how this is going to go. They should win this. They're in Buffalo, right? Buffalo's coming off a loss. They're a very down on themselves team. This should be a win for Carolina, which means it'll probably be a loss, because that's the way the season's gone for Carolina. Very, very hard to predict. Toronto's playing Montreal tonight for the 896 millionth time. And Charlie Lindgren's starting for Montreal because Niemi's the backup. And Freddie Anderson's starting for Toronto, but that's unconfirmed. It'll be Anderson, I think. I can't see McElhinney going into this game. It'll be interesting because here you have a Montreal team that's really desperate to prove that they're better than, Arizona after their last game. That the hot streak they had to get close to 500 wasn't just a mirage. That Charlie Lindgren really is a fantastic young goaltender and not just a guy who's going to get exposed after a few really good games. And they want to stand up to the Leafs, a team that's won 4 in a row without Austin Matthews. And from what I've heard, Matthews isn't playing tonight. Again, that's what I heard yesterday, and then this morning they talked about taking an optional skate, but I don't hear anything about him playing tonight. I keep hearing he's close, and it doesn't really hurt that bad. But that's the same thing we've heard from Carey Price for weeks. So I'm starting to think there's a new thing in the NHL. When a superstar player gets hurt, don't tell anybody anything, because everybody's going to panic. So just keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, and if you can skate, get on a pair of skates and go out there and skate around a few times, and then leave the ice. So we'll see. We'll see how long Toronto can play well without him, or if he comes back. If Matthews comes back tonight, does that throw them off? Did they find perfect chemistry without him? And it's an awkward conversation, but it does happen. Chicago's in Pittsburgh. Crawford's likely. Matt Murray's confirmed, of course. Pittsburgh does have an issue in net. Murray's stats, 906, 2.85 goals against. Not up to snuff. But his win-loss record's fantastic at 11-4-1. So something here doesn't add up. I would be very surprised if Pittsburgh doesn't rally and win this one, because all the questions that have been asked about Pittsburgh, all the questions that have been asked about Crosby, these are the kind of things that I've heard before. Now, usually they fire a coach after these things start to come up. I don't see Sullivan going anywhere. I can't see Pittsburgh giving up on a coach that won back-to-back Stanley Cups. That being said, if Pittsburgh doesn't turn around, they'll have to do something. But I really believe they're going to turn around. And for Chicago, I don't know what to expect with Chicago. I know that if they go with Crawford, they have one of the best goalies in the league. And that's about it. I don't know what to expect from them offensively or defensively, and it has to be frustrating to be a fan of the Hawks right now. Minnesota's in Washington. Devin Dubnyk's unconfirmed, but of course he's going to play. I can't see them going with the backup in this situation. I really can't see Stalock going in there. Holtby's in net for Washington. Again, it's a matchup between two really good goaltenders. It's probably going to be a shootout. Probably going to be like 6-5, 7-4. Some wacky score like that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Minnie is on this nice little run. And Dubnyk's been fantastic. Washington is such an unpredictable team. I wouldn't be surprised no matter what happens. So if they win, awesome. If they lose, oh well. But I wouldn't be surprised either way. I really genuinely wouldn't. Colorado's in Nashville. Okay, moving on. Colorado, unconfirmed Varlamov versus Nashville, unconfirmed Rene. So when you're Nashville and you're on a nice roll, watch out for Colorado. The Avalanche are not the bottom feeder they were last year. Getting rid of Duchesne has improved their game. Now, they lost the back-to-back games against Ottawa and Stockholm right after that trade. But I did see something in their game, and I wondered, like, maybe they just don't have enough depth to compete with better teams in the NHL. Maybe they're going to struggle. But the truth is, honestly, they're a very good team. Samuel Girard has been a revelation for Avalanche fans. And we'll see if that continues. But for right now, he's a solid top four defenseman, and he's a good puck mover. It's crazy that they got him in this deal, because Duchesne wanted out. Everybody knew it. And you would think the people that they would get back wouldn't be impact guys right away. Well, Girard was. Now, sadly, Kamenev gets a broken arm when playing for the Avs, and that sucks for him. I don't know how else to put it. It's one of those situations where people say, how do you feel about the injury too? How do you feel about this guy coming out with this? I don't know. I feel bad. So yeah, I feel bad for a rookie who gets traded to a new team, gets a chance to prove himself, and gets a broken arm. So, speedy recovery wish to him. Colorado can definitely use him. He's a talented forward. And going into Nashville tonight, it should be a fun game for everybody. If you want an upset of the night, though, I would not be surprised if it's the Avs. Rene's save percentage is down to .921 though, so that's noteworthy because he had been really, really high up there, and everybody was talking about how great he was playing. It started to come down again. St. Louis is in Vancouver. I used to call this an automatic loss. I did. Even when the Canucks were really good, this was during like the West Coast Express era. St. Louis would be coming in. St. Louis could just be a garbage team, and I'd be like, we're going to lose. They're starting Curtis Sanford, though. Doesn't matter. We're going to lose. And then Sanford would shut the Canucks out. It was just sad. So, tonight I don't expect a lot from Vancouver either, but that being said, this Canucks team has been very unpredictable this year. So St. Louis comes in as this insanely good team. Now, the goaltending's unconfirmed. It says Allen and Markstrom. I'd be surprised if it wasn't Allen. I'd also be surprised if it wasn't Nilsson. After what the Canucks did in the last game, I would be surprised if it wasn't Nilsson playing this game. But we'll find out. Markstrom's record is 5-7-2, and I'd be very surprised if they don't end up going with Nilsson. And for Allen, he gets a chance to pad stats because the Canucks are pretty good at making other goaltenders look really good. That's another thing that happened 10 years ago too. The Canucks were very good at making other goaltenders look good. Actually, it was 11 years ago. So I'm talking about the 06-07 team. You know, where Jan Bulis had 20 goals and people tried to tell me he was a good player, and I was like, he's not, though. And then he just wasn't. Or people would say, well, you know, Bulis was one of the Canucks' best forwards last night. I'm like, and did we lose? Yeah. There you go. So, you know, there's that. So I look forward to a Jan Bulis kind of evening. It's kind of fun sharing this stuff with you guys because I only had a couple of people I could talk to about this kind of thing back then who got it. What kind of night was it for the Canucks? They had a Jan Bulis night, meaning they couldn't score. So, anyways, Boston's in San Jose. So Boston comes off of a very unlikely win over LA. Can they duplicate it tonight? It's not likely, considering the amount of injuries to Boston and whatnot. And yet, Hudobin's in net. So with Hudobin in net, I have some faith. Hudobin has a 2.35 goals against. He has a .928 save percentage, and he's 4-0-2. He hasn't lost in regulation. Remember, the team's 7-7-4. So, yeah. It's not even close. Hudobin should be the one playing, and he is. So I'm happy about that. And he's against Aaron Dell. Now, Dell shut out the Canucks. Dell's stats are .934 and a 1.94 goals against. I really think that we could see Boston pull one off here. I do. I've got a feeling that Boston could pull this one off. Coming off of the win in LA, I think they could beat San Jose. That being said, it's almost impossible to predict anything, and whatever you might think could happen is just as realistic as whatever I might think could happen. At this point, there's 13:53 left in the second, though. Calgary's on a power play, and they just scored, so that game's 3-2. So I'm still not predicting anything, because if any team has bad luck, it's the Flyers. The Flyers have terrible luck. And we'll see if that kicks in soon or if they're good. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way around the internet and you happen upon this channel. And thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.